I mean, it's interesting what you're hinting at there. How can you hope still to be regarded as an ordinary bloke?
Me?
Yeah.
Well, because I am. I go around, I don't go around like sliced alone or something with bodyguards or anything. I mean, I walk along the street on my own all the time. And people just say, hello, Mike, hello, Mike. I remember I was walking along the street and a guy stopped me. He said, "You're here." So I said, "Yes." He said, "Well, you're Michael Caine, aren't you?" So I said, "Yes." He said, "Well, you're here." He said, you're right here, look. You're here. So I said, "Well, I have to be somewhere, don't I?" So he said, "I never thought of that, yeah." And he just walked on.
I heard a little cry just now. I don't know.
I did. I think some of them are so Mozart out there that they've fallen off the chairs.
It's me.
Bob.
Yeah. Do you, as far as you know,
yeah,
has your Cockney accent or being a Cockney ever stopped you getting a job?
Ah, no, it's interesting coming from you, Bob.
Yeah.
I mean, have you,
The only time my Cockney accent has stopped me getting a job is when you'd already got it.
Are you speaking from bitter experience, Bob?
No, not at all, no.
No, I don't think either of us can speak from bitter experience about anything. Because to come into the acting profession when we did, which was what I used to call French windows and Bunty's having a party era, I mean, it was kind of hopeless. I mean, there's a lot of guys out here sitting here who knew me then, and they used to tell me it was hopeless.
Michael?
Yes, sir. It's my son.
Yes, indeed.
Hello, Nigel.
Hello, how are you?
Will you behave yourself?
Yes, yes. What have you got against speaking properly?
I've got nothing against speaking properly.
See what I mean?
Nothing against speaking properly. All you have to do is put $2 million up front and I'll do any accent you want.
Well, it's funny you should say that.
What?
What you just said.
Why?
Because I'm going into a little bit now that sort of illustrates that. It's about film critics. Now, they come and go, of course, and there are not many around who have followed you since you actually started, but one who has been sitting in the dark looking at Michael for the past quarter of a century is Alexander Walker.
Michael, I wonder if you remember the first time that we had crossed words together. It was about a film, Zulu. It's the first one that actually got you your best set of press notices. You made a great entrance in it. You were on a horseback, you looked aristocratic, and you looked superior and languid. But you know, to my ears, you sounded just that little bit phony. An officer, certainly. But a gentleman? Well, maybe.
Damn hot work.
Bill, the river cooled you off a bit, though, eh? Who are you?
John Chard, Royal Engineers.
Bromhead. 24. That's my post. Up there. You've come down from the column?
That's right. They want a bridge across the river.
Who said you could use my men?
They were sitting around on their backsides doing nothing.
Rather you asked first, old boy.
You know, Michael, I never realized until you told me that you'd been hurt by the class bias that I put into that uncharitable, if not inaccurate remark. But then, you know, the trouble with you, Michael, is that you do seem to be a little tense where accents are concerned.
We will now hear Mr. William Gilrooney. Having been struck over the head with this saw, Albert Clitterburn could easily have drowned had you not intervened. Does that sum up your opinion, Mr. Gilrooney?
Oi.
You're quite sure that it was George Clitterburn who saw deal your blow?
Oi.
You know, Michael, it's odd that you should work so hard in getting your tongue around other people's accents when it was the one that you were born with that got you fame, in Alfie. You remember? The lecherous East Ender whose eyes sharpened like David Bailey's camera lens in those swinging 60s whenever a bird flitted in front of it. You know, Michael, you were lucky to get away with that Randy Kanda before the women's movement got going in the next decade. Well, Reddy knew from the Ipcress file that you had another Cockney quality that travelled well, which is bloody-mindedness. You could sum up in a look what it took Sean Connery to wrap up expensively in a quip. And I think, Michael, it was the men who had served in uniform in the Second World War, and along with you in Korea, who really enjoyed that kind of other ranks insolence you got into your act when you faced up to the officer class in a film like The Man Who Would Be King.
I'll see these files reach Calcutta with the recommendation that you be deported as political undesirables. Detriments to the dignity of the empire and the izzat of the Raj.
Detriments, you call us? Detriments? Well, I want to remind you it was detriments like us that built this bloody empire and the izzat of the bloody Raj. That's on. About turn.
There's another quality, Michael, that I wouldn't like to meet on a dark night, which you still have, and that's the quality of menace. That voice of yours can turn very flat and frightening when people try to walk over you, as they found out in the gangster movie Get Carter. It's almost impossible to believe it's the same Michael Caine who could play so sensitively Maggie Smith's gay husband in California Suite, and without actually coming out of the closet, give us a delightfully funny peep inside it.
You make me sick. When you can't have what you want, you make certain that everyone else around is equally as miserable.
I hadn't noticed any equals around me.
Oh, it's amazing how you can throw up verbally as well as you can nutritionally.
Adam, that was his name, wasn't it? Adam, the first man. Not very appropriate for you, is it?
Diana, come on. We keep up a front for everyone else. Why can't we do it for ourselves?
Oh, you mean lying to each other that we're perfectly well-mated, a closet couple. Is that what you mean, Sidney?
I have never hidden behind closed doors, but I am discreet.
Discreet? You did everything but lick his artichoke.
Oh, please, let's not have discussions. I have heard about your lunch breaks on the set. The only thing you don't do in your dressing room is dress. Now, I've lost count of my librium.
Today, Michael, you fit into any cast. I once asked Woody Allen if he hadn't been just that little bit nervous, casting you as the Englishman in amongst the Jewish Americans in Hannah and Her Sisters. If the acting's good enough, Woody told me, nobody bothers to ask what he's doing there. And of course, in Hannah and Her Sisters, it was good enough to win you an Oscar. Not that I think a gold-plated statuette is really your style, Michael. Those thick-framed spectacles, that's your macho trademark. And Harold Lloyd, they may just have meant myopia, and you, they mean that, reassuringly, girls do make passes at guys who wear glasses. I sometimes ask myself where your career would have gone if you'd worn contact lenses from the start.
That's quite a good question. What do you think would have happened?
I don't think it'd have been any different, really. What happened was with the glasses is that no leading man had ever worn glasses since Harold Lloyd, and he was a comedian. And I think it was just showing up. What I try always to do is to be an ordinary person, and to see someone who... I always sat in the audience with my spots and everything, and the skinny, gutted look that I used to have when I was a little boy. And everybody had great big broad shoulders and wonderful suntans in Hollywood and wonderful teeth. Even if you look at the extras in American films and you see Arab beggars have got $6,000 worth of bridge work. And I thought, nobody represents me up there with all the little things wrong with me and everything. And I think the glasses symbolize that very, very quickly to people. But my acting was supposed to do that. That was my idea. But the glasses helped a great deal. They cut some corners for me.
And how bad are your eyes, in fact?
They're very bad, actually. I can see, well, you go a bit dim, but I can read, but I couldn't recognize people there. Well, I can, because I recognize Hoskins. I recognize him anyway. But so I am short-sighted, but I don't need them on the set. I rarely wear glasses in the cinema.
I can remember a time when I asked Mike, and he was in a pub, and he asked me originally, he said, why do you think I'm so successful with the birds, John? And somewhat naively I said, I've no idea, Mike. His reply was, it's me cobra eyes.
Yeah. Oh, I remember that, yeah. When I was at school, when I was a little boy, they used to call me Snake Eyes because I have very heavy-lidded eyes. And I wanted to be a movie actor, and I'd read that you shouldn't blink. So it was rather disconcerting. I used to look at everybody, and I'd never blink. And they called me Snake Eyes, and they were quite afraid of me. Which was great, because I'm physical cowards, but I never used to get hit or anything, because everybody's frightened to hit old Snake Eyes.
And the tears used to run down your face.
Yeah, with the blink, it doesn't anymore, but I had a lot of problems with the blinking, but I never blink. I rarely blink in movies.
The stillness is a great quality for an actor, but you do seem as well to enjoy the rages as well. Does this come naturally to you?
Yeah, I don't lose my temper very often. There'll be a laugh from my wife, who's on the right here. But I don't, not very often, but there is a lot of fury inside me, I know that.
Is there anything you use if your scene isn't particularly convincing to you and you've got to get enraged? Is there something you can think of that you can summon up from your past?
Yeah, children. When I was a child, I was physically abused by strangers, and I just go straight back to that. And I hate all adults at that moment, and then I can go bang.
And that gets you angry?
That gets me extremely angry. It still does. I mean, not about myself, obviously, but about other people who do it.
Sure.
But you know the extraordinary thing, I've done a lot of work in that area, and you think if you see a child victim, and you think, if I could get hold of the person who did this, I'd strangle him with my bare hands. I know I would. And then you see the person, and they're just so pitiful, you just couldn't think of touching them.
Yeah.
It's quite strange, actually.
Yes.
The anomalies in life of what you think you do, as opposed to what people who actually do things like that, abuse children. They're usually quite pitiful people themselves. Well, anyway, that's enough of the laughter. And
well, we've got more about the charm and the menace of Michael Caine later, back after the break.